Ethan Cole had dedicated over a decade to railway maintenance, a world where precision, timing, and relentless attention to detail dictated the difference between smooth operation and chaos. Nights were his domain, a realm where the hum of passing trains, the glow of control panels, and the endless stretch of tracks offered a rhythm he could rely upon. The metallic scent of wet rails and the distant echo of engines formed a routine he trusted completely. But one rainy evening, as droplets danced across metal rails and fog-blurred distant station lights, he noticed an anomaly. A sensor triggered at the exact same location for 3 consecutive nights, always within a narrow time window. At first glance, it seemed trivial, a minor glitch in the system easily dismissed by less experienced eyes. Yet Ethan's experience whispered otherwise, urging him to look deeper. He meticulously cross-referenced months of data, schedules, cargo manifests, and maintenance logs. Patterns emerged. The anomaly coincided with specific freight trains moving over precise segments, lasting just long enough to evade automated detection thresholds. Each detail hinted at deliberate interference. Someone had studied the network with unnerving precision, exploiting weaknesses invisible to ordinary oversight. The thrill of discovery stirred unease, the sophistication of the operation suggesting insider knowledge, access privileges, and careful long-term planning. Ethan understood that a single misstep could expose him or jeopardize his investigation, yet he could not look away, compelled by the logic of patterns and the instinct of a man trained to notice what others overlooked. Over the next several nights, Ethan immersed himself in analysis, reconstructing train timelines and scrutinizing sensor logs with painstaking care. He layered datasets side by side, comparing timestamps, load distributions, and maintenance records, searching for inconsistencies too small for automated systems to flag. Each anomaly revealed subtle yet consistent deviations, micro-adjustments in cargo weights, imperceptible variations in train speeds, executed with near-perfect timing and coordination. What had once been a predictable and reliable system now appeared vulnerable, manipulated in ways that relied on both technological blind spots and human oversight gaps. He observed his colleagues with a new lens, noting slight deviations in routines, irregularities in access logs, and subtle hesitations during supervisory rounds that previously seemed insignificant. Each anomaly reinforced the sense that this was no accident. Ethan documented every observation with precision, encrypting files and storing them on disconnected drives, aware that the perpetrators could be monitoring him as closely as he watched them. Nights stretched long, filled with the cold hiss of rain against steel and shadows cast by flickering platform lights. The next observation might determine not just the success of his investigation, but his own safety. The weight of responsibility pressed on him, and every choice demanded caution, vigilance, and the patience honed from years of solitary work on the tracks. One particularly foggy night, Ethan positioned himself near a critical segment, concealed beneath the overhang of a disused station where visibility was limited and human presence rare. The freight train approached, its lights cutting sharply through the mist, and the familiar flicker of sensors created a brief blind spot that lasted only seconds. Within that narrow window, a small, unmarked container rolled silently onto a siding and merged seamlessly with the moving train, as if it had always been part of the convoy. The precision was staggering, executed with timing that left no margin for error. The operation was invisible to casual observation and undetectable by automated monitoring systems calibrated for broader anomalies. His heart raced as he realized the scale of coordination required. Whoever orchestrated this understood both the technological infrastructure and human behavioral patterns perfectly. Ethan knew the evidence had to be visual as well as digital. Data alone could be erased, altered, or discredited. Over successive nights, he deployed multiple synchronized recording devices, positioning them at calculated angles to capture redundancy. He recorded the operation repeatedly under rain, cold, and near isolation. Each replay revealed the perpetrator's methodical choreography, micro-blind spots, exact timing, and human oversight manipulated without detection. The scale of coordination left him uneasy. The operation could have continued for years if not observed by someone attuned to detail. Every camera angle, sensor reading, and encrypted log became a piece of the puzzle, meticulously recorded, analyzed, and cross-referenced. As Ethan's evidence grew, the stakes became painfully clear. The operation was not only sophisticated but potentially catastrophic if left unchecked, capable of compromising not just logistics but broader system integrity. Subtle shifts in colleagues' behavior, unexpected access restrictions, and random security adjustments suggested someone knew he was investigating, even if they didn't yet know how much he had uncovered. Each night became a calculated risk, balancing the need to capture irrefutable evidence with the constant awareness of personal exposure. He minimized patterns in his own movements, altered routines, and limited system access to avoid detection. Finally, after weeks of observation, he witnessed the breakthrough sequence in full clarity. A freight train slowed imperceptibly at a blind spot, an unmarked vehicle approached from a service road, and cargo was transferred with surgical precision before disappearing back into the darkness. The timing was exact, the coordination flawless. Ethan captured the entire event in high-definition video, synchronized precisely with sensor logs and timestamps, creating an undeniable and verifiable record. Relief was fleeting. He understood immediately that exposing the operation would provoke retaliation from individuals with both technical expertise and institutional access. Vigilance and patience remained critical, as even the smallest misstep could compromise months of work and the fragile integrity of the evidence he had assembled. The quiet of the night contrasted sharply with the complexity and danger unfolding beneath the surface of the railway system. Ethan reached out to an independent oversight authority specializing in transportation security, selecting a channel that operated outside the immediate chain of command to reduce the risk of internal interference. He provided encrypted recordings, carefully annotated logs, and a detailed report outlining patterns, timelines, and observed vulnerabilities. The following days were tense and uncertain. Each unfamiliar vehicle near the rail network, every shadow around depots or maintenance zones, seemed to signal potential surveillance or retaliation. Ethan maintained a low profile, avoiding unnecessary interactions while continuing to monitor developments. When auditors arrived, their approach was methodical and discreet. They corroborated his analysis step by step, validating sensor discrepancies, reviewing footage, and cross-referencing personnel access records. Their findings confirmed that multiple segments of the network had been systematically exploited. Operations were temporarily halted for comprehensive inspections, triggering internal reviews and controlled interrogations. Personnel interviews revealed a network of coordinated insiders who had leveraged predictable routines and sensor blind spots to sustain the operation. Ethan's meticulous documentation became the cornerstone of the investigation. Without it, the manipulation could have persisted undetected for years. He observed the process with quiet intensity, recognizing that exposure had disrupted the operation but had not entirely eliminated the underlying risks. Each discovery reinforced the fragility of trust in systems assumed to be secure and highlighted the critical importance of disciplined, independent observation. Following the investigation, Ethan declined to return to his former position. The tracks, stations, and control rooms that once felt familiar now carried a different weight, charged with latent tension and memories of unseen activity. The flickering lights, the echo of trains in the distance, and the silent stretches of rail no longer represented routine. They reminded him of how easily systems could be manipulated beneath the surface. Instead, he transitioned into consultancy, applying his experience to auditing railway systems across multiple regions. His work focused on risk assessment, operational integrity, and the identification of subtle vulnerabilities that automated systems often overlooked. Each assignment drew directly from the lessons learned during those weeks of isolation and investigation. He emphasized that even minor discrepancies could conceal significant threats, and that human error, when combined with predictable routines, could amplify technological weaknesses. The encrypted recordings were preserved not for recognition, but as a personal reference point, a record of diligence, patience, and the capacity to intervene before escalation. Nighttime inspections became reflective exercises, as Ethan revisited environments similar to those he had once monitored under pressure. The distant sound of passing trains served as a constant reminder that the balance between order and disruption remained fragile, maintained only through sustained attention and disciplined oversight. Months passed, and Ethan's reputation as a precise and highly disciplined consultant grew steadily within the industry. His approach was methodical and uncompromising, emphasizing independent verification, redundancy in monitoring systems, and a structured skepticism toward even the smallest irregularities. He trained teams to move beyond surface-level analysis, encouraging them to question assumptions and validate data through multiple channels. Occasionally, he revisited the recordings from his investigation, studying them with renewed perspective. Each review revealed additional layers of complexity, micro-decisions, split-second timing adjustments, and coordinated human actions that had enabled the operation to evade detection for so long. Subtle delays in train movement, nearly imperceptible weight shifts, and synchronized interventions formed a pattern that was only visible through careful, repeated observation. Even with improved safeguards in place, Ethan understood that vulnerabilities persisted. Any complex system, no matter how advanced, could be manipulated by individuals with sufficient knowledge and patience. Nights spent alone, listening to the rhythm of passing trains, reinforced the necessity of constant vigilance. He was acutely aware that his attention to detail had prevented consequences that could have escalated far beyond logistical disruption. The railway network eventually stabilized under enhanced monitoring systems, redundant sensor layers, and stricter oversight protocols. Despite these improvements, Ethan remained cautious. He continued his consultancy work with the same intensity, approaching each system as if undiscovered vulnerabilities still existed beneath the surface. His audits were thorough, combining technical analysis with behavioral observation, ensuring that both machine processes and human patterns were evaluated together. He mentored teams to recognize subtle inconsistencies, teaching them how minor deviations could indicate larger, coordinated manipulations. The memory of the operation remained vivid: the small, unmarked containers, the precise timing, and the seamless integration into existing systems. These details informed every recommendation he made. The lessons learned became foundational principles: vigilance, detailed documentation, and proactive intervention were not optional but essential. Ethan understood that while exposure had prevented immediate escalation, the potential for exploitation persisted wherever complexity, trust, and routine intersected. Each passing train, especially under low light or adverse conditions, reminded him of how easily normalcy could conceal deliberate interference. Even as recognition and professional success followed, Ethan remained deeply reflective and cautious in his approach. The encrypted recordings were more than evidence; they were a continuous source of insight into both technical systems and human behavior. Reviewing them periodically, he identified patterns that extended beyond mechanics: decision-making under pressure, coordination between individuals, and the psychological discipline required to execute such a precise operation without detection. His consultancy evolved into a broader discipline, combining observation, analysis, and controlled intervention. Ethan trained teams not just to identify anomalies, but to interpret them correctly, avoiding both overreaction and complacency. He emphasized clarity of thought, patience in analysis, and decisiveness when patterns indicated deliberate interference. The operation he had uncovered demonstrated a fundamental truth: small, often imperceptible irregularities could scale into significant threats if left unexamined. The stability of complex systems depended not only on technology, but on the vigilance of those responsible for monitoring them. This understanding shaped every aspect of his work, reinforcing the importance of disciplined attention. Ethan's methodology gradually became a recognized standard for precision in infrastructure oversight. His approach was grounded in practical experience, shaped by nights spent analyzing anomalies and observing real-world system manipulation. He taught that anomalies should not be dismissed as inconveniences, but treated as potential indicators of deeper issues requiring investigation. Each audit he conducted reinforced these principles, integrating structured analysis with real-time observation. The memory of the small, unmarked container appearing and disappearing within seconds remained a defining reference point. It represented how easily a coordinated action could bypass detection when systems relied too heavily on assumptions. Replays of his recordings revealed the layered complexity of the operation: synchronized human actions, carefully timed mechanical adjustments, and deliberate exploitation of monitoring limitations. This experience reshaped Ethan's understanding of risk. Technical expertise alone was insufficient. Effective oversight required patience, critical thinking, and the willingness to act with precision under uncertain conditions. These lessons became central to his professional philosophy. The invisible choreography of the operation became the foundation of Ethan's professional ethos. He structured training programs around realistic scenarios, simulating anomalies, sensor delays, and subtle system manipulations to prepare teams for conditions that mirrored real vulnerabilities. His instruction emphasized observation over assumption, teaching individuals to recognize patterns that did not immediately appear significant. Data analysis was paired with behavioral monitoring, ensuring that both technological and human factors were considered together. Ethan often reflected on the nights he had spent alone, exposed to harsh weather and uncertain risks, relying solely on his judgment and attention to detail. What had once been a source of tension and isolation had evolved into a refined tool for analysis. That experience allowed him to anticipate potential weaknesses and intervene before they could escalate. Every step he had taken during the investigation reinforced a core principle: disciplined observation and deliberate action could disrupt operations designed to remain invisible. This understanding guided his work and the training of others. Even as safeguards were strengthened and systems became more resilient, Ethan continued to treat every infrastructure network as dynamic and adaptable, capable of being influenced by skilled individuals. He revisited the recordings periodically, not out of concern, but to refine his understanding of the interplay between technology and human decision-making. Each review provided additional insight into timing, coordination, and subtle system manipulation. His consultancy emphasized anticipation, identifying vulnerabilities before they could be exploited, and redundancy, ensuring that no single point of failure could compromise an entire system. He consistently reminded teams that automation, while efficient, could not replace human judgment and critical observation. The memory of those nights remained vivid: the dim lighting, the shadows cast by moving trains, and the nearly imperceptible transfer of cargo. These experiences informed every recommendation he made. He understood that unseen forces often had greater influence than visible ones, and that careful, consistent attention could determine whether a system remained stable or became vulnerable. Ultimately, the railway network stabilized under enhanced monitoring, layered redundancies, and stricter oversight protocols. Despite this, Ethan remained vigilant, fully aware that stability did not eliminate risk, it only reduced its visibility. The encrypted recordings, carefully preserved, stood as a testament to what meticulous observation, patience, and calculated action could achieve when applied consistently. Nights spent near the tracks, whether for work or reflection, reinforced a lasting awareness. Even the smallest anomaly could signal a hidden manipulation. He had learned that complex systems, regardless of their sophistication, were only as secure as the attention given to their operation. Vigilance, precision, and the willingness to act decisively had prevented a potentially severe outcome. Watching trains move steadily through the night, illuminated by distant lights and surrounded by silence, Ethan recognized that the world operated on fragile balances. The unseen would always exist, and the responsibility to detect and respond to it rested on those prepared to observe with clarity and act with discipline.